The X-Men, Marvel's most popular superhero group as long as you're talking to somebody from 2008. I love the X-Men. Growing up, being able to read and see the stories of these fantastical powers grounded by a level of realism and challenge that you don't see in many other superhero stories. The struggles of being different and being ostracized while also wanting to help and protect those who might not be nice to you is a really intricate balance to follow, and the X-Men nail it perfectly. The X-Men have been a pillar of comics and the superhero genre for so long, and we've seen so many iterations of the characters. There have been some great depictions of these characters.
I want to die.
All right, look, we're not going to make you do anything you don't feel good. Let me help.
Oh! Eric!
What? You know you were thinking the same.
As well as some less great.
Here we have children who can walk through walls. We have children who think they can walk through walls.
But over the years, these characters and settings have become muddled. I mean, between different film franchises, shows, games, and comics, it's really hard to remain consistent with everything. I mean, in the last 2 decades alone, we've had 3 Charles Xaviers, 3 Eric Lenchers, 3 Pietro Maximovs, 4 Wolverines, and God knows how many Deadpools. Now, I'm not just going to sit here and talk about all the X-Men media that normally gets talked about, though I would be remiss if I didn't bring up at least... Jesus, stop, please! X-Men the Animated Series started in 1992 and boasts one of the most iconic team rosters and soundtracks for the entire genre. To this day, I mean, this series is what everybody talks about, including its new revival series, which I would argue is better than the entirety of the original series with just its first season. But what I really want to talk about, and what I believe to be the best evolution of the X-Men franchise ever, while most X-Men fans grew up watching the animated series, as a kid born in the early 2000s, I lived off of X-Men Evolution. It released the same year as the first X-Men movie, and it features the most iconic characters as a recurring cast. What X-Men Evolution did different, that really sets it apart, was highlighting Xavier's School for the Gifted. Of course, in every other adaptation, we get to see glimpses of the school Professor X runs, but it's never the main focus. X-Men is almost always about the superhero team with the school being a backdrop, but at its core, X-Men Evolution is an animated series about a group of teenagers that couldn't be more different, having to learn how to balance their true nature while going through the day-to-day of being high school students. I mean, they do all the classic high school activities. They go to parties, classes, football games, get stuck in an interdimensional purgatory with a kid from the 1970s, and get turned into whatever this is.
Pain's gone. And you shall be called Havoc. Go on, Scott. Show us the color of your eyes.
In my opinion, X-Men Evolution consistently has the best dynamics and personalities from these characters. I'm not saying that it's necessarily my favorite iterations for a lot of them. Scott, Magneto, Wolverine have been done better elsewhere, but in my opinion, they are the most definitive versions of these characters. Professor X, for instance, has always been morally gray, and while he does what he believes to be the best for the mutant community, it's inherently from a position of privilege. Because of this, he is characteristically manipulative and secretive, usually claiming it to be out of a desire to protect his students, but often falling short and underestimating those around him. In most adaptations, we don't see this nuance. We just see Professor X as the caring and charismatic leader of the team. But X-Men Evolution didn't shy away from the more serious parts of his character. They regularly showed him withholding information and manipulating people around him. It's always as an attempt to help, but it often causes fallout and division within the team. The series covered almost every iconic event from the team's past, including Asteroid M, Apocalypse, Bolivar Trask, and the Sentinels, even specific relationships that aren't shown quite as often or as well in popular media, like Nightcrawler and Mystique's relationship, Professor X and Kane Marco being brothers, Alex Summers, and the whole of Project X. The series is also known for one of the biggest introductions of a character that has forever changed the comics and movies for the better. Evandaniels, also known as Spike. Okay, so Spike is unfortunately dead, and wasn't even called Evandaniels in his comic appearance. His name was Darian Elliott, which in my opinion is way less cool than Evandaniels. Spike was a really interesting character, and to this day, he's still one of my favorites. I mean, his aunt is Aurora Monroe, he skates, and he gets this sick armor later on. I promise I only like him like 20% for having my name. But this show did make some changes that were absolutely for the better, giving Kitty Pryde more character, motivation, and backstory, and doing the same for some of the less enjoyable characters from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Toad, Avalanche, Blob, Boom Boom, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Pyro, and Rogue all got fleshed out backstories and usually multiple episodes about just them. However, the most notable addition to the X-Men mythos came in Season 3 with a character named Laura Kinney. Even people who watch this show don't often realize that this show made X-23. She's gone on to have countless comic appearances and adding so much to Wolverine's story and motive, as well as being the main plotline, if not the main character of Logan, and appearing again in Deadpool and Wolverine. And as the seasons progress, the show does struggle under its own weight. By the end, there was a large roster of characters that got less and less screen time, and eventually it was cancelled after its 4th season. But despite its weaker finale, I think it managed to tell all of its stories effectively with a really surprising amount of heart and charm. And not to mention,
Time to shake that tail! Woohoo! Party, party!